And we are live. Take it away.
All right, everyone, welcome. Episode 3, Cut-Ups Film Room, brought to you by Maize and Blue Review. I am staff writer Trevor McCue, here with, of course, we're just going with Wizard now, I think, Osentoski. How you doing, buddy?
Straight up Wizard. Doing all right. On a very little amount of sleep. Caught a red eye from the West Coast, but, man, we got football, and football doesn't sleep. All right? So I just made that up. I'm probably delirious, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about, man. This is
I thought I was in a weird headspace until you and I started talking. You're making me feel better about my long day.
There you go. Bringing it all together.
We do have a lot to get into. Obviously, we're excited. Michigan has started Big Ten play. Some of those non-conference games felt like we were just talking about, oh, look at all these good things. So, we had a real close game, maybe closer than a lot of folks expected. And we're going to kind of get into that. We're going to talk about the game-defining plays. As Toski said, we're going to kind of go through the story of the game here with Michigan and Maryland. We've got some offensive, some defensive plays that we're going to break down and find the positives and probably some of the opportunities that those in Schembechler Hall are talking about this week. So, Toski, my man, I know what we're starting with the unbelievable kickoff, right?
Yeah, which is I actually have to restart my my program here, so bear with me for a hot second. Problem. But talk to me. I want to get your sense real quick before we dive in here. Your sense of the play of JJ McCarthy, because I have some conflicted thoughts about him after this game, and I want to know if I'm being crazy or what your initial thoughts are before we get into it.
I tend to be more of a numbers guy than straight eye test. I'm really happy when my eye test and the numbers match together, right? There's some confirmation there.
Right.
Watching the game, I got a little anxiety with JJ. Some of the scrambling in the pocket that we talked about, the not knowing when to give up on a play, potentially becoming a bad play, right? Those deep throws, obviously, it was like, man, he's missing on these. What is going on? When I went back and looked at the numbers, though, he was 17 of 18 for 160-something yards and 2 touchdowns on every throw, 20 yards or less. He was 1 for 8 on deep throws. His comments after the game where he said his arm feels 110%. So the problem is, if anything, he needs to dial it back because he hasn't been used to throwing it, with a full arm. That made me feel a little bit better because I'm like, all right, at least the problem's a positive that he's trying to work through, right?
Right.
But I told myself, hey, this is what we said was going to happen. JJ McCarthy was going to make some mistakes. He was going to have some learning opportunities getting into Big Ten play. This is kind of the negative of not having maybe a little bit more challenging non-con schedule. All these guys were done by the second or third quarter,
Sure.
So if he connects on 2 of these deep throws, then he's got 4 touchdowns, 300 yards. Michigan wins by 20, and we probably have a completely different conversation today. So I know it's easy to say, if he just connected on those 2 deep throws, but
it's a very different game, man, if he does that.
Yeah, I think he just had an off day, and, if we go to Iowa and, Michigan's, struggling and the offense isn't clicking, that there wasn't a lot of rhythm on Saturday. If JJ's missing throws, then it starts to go, right?
Yep, exactly.
But remember, last year, this was the Rutgers game.
Yeah, great point. 4th game
to Wisconsin.
Yep.
Nobody was confident Michigan was going to go into Wisconsin and win that game after Rutgers.
Right.
Thought there was no passing attack. There's no way they're going to be able to run the way to victory, right? So just kind of got to remember where we are in the season too, I think.
Yep. All right, let's get started here.
In the face,
man. I felt so bad for this guy.
Too. Poor guy. Especially with the game ending by 7 now. It's
seriously.
He's thinking,
moink. Just exactly what you don't want at the start of your game. I mean, this is why you hustle on special teams as well, right? Not a whole lot to analyze here. The only analysis is that when you're on special teams, go full speed, right? And maybe there's a ball waiting for you. And that's what what is it? I think is he a true freshman or redshirt freshman?
Hibner. Oh, now you're making me doubt.
I know. I thought he was a redshirt freshman. I thought this was his 2nd year in the program.
Yeah, I don't remember now. It was Loveland and because Klein is the other freshman. So
Marlon Klein. Yep.
So he's the redshirt. Yeah, they keep talking about how athletic he is. They're real excited about his potential.
And that's just if he's not sprinting down the field here, right? He doesn't have this like he needed every extra yard there to get there just a half second before they're able to recover. So that's how you win reps down the line, man. People remember that. So really good job getting down there and setting yourself up for a 1st and 10. The very next play, JJ McCarthy puts this one on the dot for Luke Schoonmaker. And this is just a nice play design. You got Ronnie Bell coming in motion here, a little play action, right? And again, what does the play action do? What the main thing we're looking at here is just this little corner route out of Schoonmaker. When you have this action here, you add in a little jet sweep fake. This is the main guy. And when I say this, I'm trying to find the right color for this guy. Ooh, that's a nice matching color for Maryland. And you're just trying to suck him up, right? You are selling the run here. That's going to help get this defensive back out. And I think the beauty of this play is very often Schoonmaker is going out, releasing to the second level here, blocking here. Maybe he's even looking for a safety to block. So him releasing here, a free release and going out here isn't that anomalous when you're considering sort of a jet sweep, this RPO looking action. I don't think this is an RPO at all. I think this is a straight up play action pass here, and just all hinges on this guy. So if we move forward there, let's make sure the software catches up. It doesn't want to play nicely. Here we go. So right after that, you see the safety come up, that defensive back sucking up as well. So this defensive back is actually a secondary key here as well. If he drops back, right, if he drops back here onto this sort of corner route, this flag route here for Schoonmaker, you're going to have Bredesen coming out of the backfield here, and he's open the flats right away. You like this. This makes this job of the safety really hard to react both to this run action and duck out here to the corner. So really, this is the key guy who's he's going to be somewhere out in this zone. It just matters whether he's towards the back of this box or at the front of it, and that determines whether you're throwing here to your number 1 Schoonmaker or number 2 to Bredesen. So pretty simple, right? And I like how they're making things easy here right away. You get a schematic win for JJ McCarthy off of this big turnover. You put him in a really good spot just to be successful right away, and get yourself easy points on the board. So nothing much more to say. I just really like that play design, misdirection, right? Use your weapons well. Ronnie Bell in motion, Corum. And again, that safety is just dead in the water just by the design. Nothing really he could do there, reacting to both the run and the pass.
For sure. Yeah, I love those motion plays. I mean, Michigan does that a lot to create confusion on the defense. And then when I talk about being in a rhythm, this is something you can come back to later, and maybe you bubble screen with Bell out there or whatever. So that's what all these different options, you can run the same play 6 different ways. So that's why it's important to have that rhythm with play calling, to be able to come back to this later and maybe use your tendency against the defense.
Yeah, and I thought we'd see this more of getting JJ McCarthy just kind of on the rollout in general. We didn't see it all too often. But
I was screaming that at the TV at one point where I was like, just get him on a bootleg.
Seriously.
He feels more comfortable on the run in a weird way. And I think it's a good, if you get him out of the pocket where he's got 1 or 2 options to choose from, I think that helps him settle down with, what Maryland was doing, dropping 8 was really, you could tell it was affecting him. He was going through all his reads, but you could tell it was bugging him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here we got a nice pickup here from Blake Corum. I didn't clip every run from him because we would be here all day, but really nice play design here. You got a double here, and you'll get a release here from Trent Jones. He'll just get to this second level. I think this linebacker will get caught. Block of the play here is Honigford, who he's just going to kind of scream off this edge, scream off this double team. Let's roll the tape here a little bit and just watch him really wash down that defensive end, right? Just really gets a ton of motion. Just look at how big of a hole that forms because of that block. So really good job on the double from Trent Jones and Zinter there. Jones does eventually get to that second level, that linebacker that I'm looking at right here. You can see he gets off that double team, boom. Honigford pushes this down, and that forms just a nice little crease here for 56 to come off of the butt there of Honigford. And he does a really good job saying, okay, who's on the outside? He's looking for the first guy outside because you have Bredesen pulling across the formation. He's going right up this gap here. So 58 here, that his job is just to pick up the guy on the outside, seal him off. Good job. He could have done a little bit better with this block, right? He doesn't get him head on, but again, he's just looking to form a crease. 58 doesn't need to really absolutely demolish him here. And Blake Corum does a really good step here. This right step by Blake Corum also sets this guy up to the outside a little bit. So this extra step before hitting the hole further helps this block. So Bredesen does a really good job, lead man through the hole. You got Henning blocking here as well. So this is just, when you got the numbers, it's all just about execution. You got it from your interior line. You got Honigford washing down. 58 does enough on the edge that, and boom, picks up the guy in the hole. And look at that crease, right? Honigford setting that left edge, Bredesen setting that right edge, Henning getting his hips turned to the outside, right? That's huge. And now just look at the alley, right? You got so much room to work with one-on-one against a safety. Usually if you're Blake Corum, you're going to win that matchup. And even if you don't win that matchup, right, you've already won the play. You've blocked it as far as you can with your personnel. And now it's just about turning your superstar loose and seeing what he can do at the next level. So really well blocked play. Nothing else you can really say about that, as I'm waiting for the software to catch up to me. But really good job when everyone's blocking, and you end up picking, what was it, like a 15-yard pickup here for Blake Corum. So does a nice little shimmy there to also dust that safety and picks up, an extra 5-6 yards because of it. So he's special, man. And when you're blocking everything and you have Blake Corum one-on-one against a safety, that's a recipe you'll take.
That first cut, I mean, he does a lot of things well, but that first cut, plant without any loss of momentum, he almost takes like an extra hop forward when he does those cuts.
Yeah.
So he loses no speed and just, makes dudes look like that when they fall to the ground. He's unreal, man.
Makes them look silly. All right, here we are towards the end of the first. Just brutal. You feel for CJ Stokes. I'm not going to break down this play too much. It really just comes down to when your number's called, right? Your first carry of the day. I think this was one where Corum had just picked up, 46 yards on 3 carries or whatever. Give credit, right? That punch with the right arm here. I'll back it up a little bit, but this guy with his right arm, if you watch it, he punches the ball away. So you got to give credit there. But if you're going into traffic like this with CJ Stokes, you get 2 arms on the ball, right? This isn't a time to, when you see the defensive end crashing down like that and you're about to make a cut here, ball security is number one priority. And that extra punch right there gets the ball loose. And that's how you lose reps, right? That's why we saw Isaiah Gash come in. I don't even know if we saw CJ Stokes the rest of the game.
No, that was his only carry.
Yeah. So
they went from him having another Edwards type day to a Blake Corum bell cow day. And look, he's a freshman. I mean, this is part of the jump from high school to college, like you said, knowing you're going to have to protect the ball because any defender can do this, right? They're trained to do that. So
yep, this is a take your medicine where all week you're going to be repping ball security drills, right? Have it drilled in your brain that, hey, this is what happens, right? And if you don't spend extra time making sure that you have ball security, you're going to lose time. And hopefully he learns from that and takes some extra precautions next time. So again, I'm putting these here just to show that these deep shots, I think, really changed the portion of the game, right? Pretty good pass protection. Nothing really to say here. Not really going to go through the route combination. Don't think it's really important. This is all about just Roman Wilson just dusting a guy, right? This is the main guy we're watching here. He's just going up the seam here. They like their matchup here. I'm sure they've scouted this and said, yeah, we think we can win on this route combination. We have a guy who runs, high 4.2s, probably low 4.3s. And we're just going to lay it up there, right? If you don't have a safety over top, we're going to throw this to the outside. He just overshoots him, right? First couple games, I think JJ was pretty close to 80 or so % on deep shots. And this is just a case of just missing your guy deep, which is kind of a feat on when it comes to Roman Wilson, right? With how fast he is. So again, he had 5 or 6 of these. So I think I clipped them all. We don't need to break them down too much in detail, but you got a lot of room to the outside here as well, right? He's right on the numbers. This is one of those cases where if you're going to miss, maybe miss to the outside instead of missing long, right? Especially when he has this much space. So it's unlikely this guy would be able to make a play on the ball if you put it just a little outside and obviously not as long. But as you mentioned, he had said that he was kind of throwing at 110%, maybe forcing the ball, not feeling comfortable. So hopefully just something to watch, not something to be worried about moving forward.
For sure. I do think there's some questions about the route tree throughout the game and the way they reacted to that, 3 down line and drop 8. But yeah, that's just a situation where you overthrew them.
Right.
And if we get a couple games of that, you start to get concerned. But
yep. And this is, again, this is a thing where if you hit one of those deep shots, the game is completely different. If Michigan doesn't jump on the ball here, completely different game as well. So really like the play design here. You got Blake Corum running out here. You do like a little fake flare screen, right? These guys going out for blocking. Because of this motion, you're getting this linebacker out. So really, if you look at the matchup, right, you're bringing essentially 5 guys out here for only 4 playmakers. Here you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 against 4 down linemen. You like that on 2nd and 11, right? The objective here is probably to get 5-6 yards. The safety is probably the most likely guy to get there, and then your 3rd and middling distance. That's the objective of the play here. Doesn't work out that way. Blocking just doesn't really open up a good hole for JJ McCarthy. But again, at this point, it's all about ball security. And 55 there just loses his block. That's Olu Watimi. Give credit to the defensive tackle there, for engaging the arms, disengages, gets that right paw, as they always say for defensive tackles. They always just reference their hands as paws, but he gets it there in the breadbasket, rips away, and it's scary, right? This is just kind of a random event of where's the ball going to end up, and as my dog sneezes,
Is that what that was?
Yeah. Give credit to Cornelius Johnson for being there. So
for sure.
Again, if the ball bounces a little different.
Were you surprised to see the design QB run, though? That was kind of a debate online, right? Were those read options reads? It felt like JJ maybe didn't have the go-ahead to run on some of those reads. And then you see this, design QB delay run or whatever. I was kind of surprised, to be honest.
Yeah, I think this is – it's a good question because you're right. There were a few missed reads. I'm sure I clipped a couple of them. So it is a little odd to see that with the juxtaposition of this play where it's like, oh, let him loose, right? And this is like he's running right up the middle. So the odds of him getting hit here are way higher than an actual zone read or an RPO sort of look. So yeah, I don't really know what to make of that. It could have been situational, right, where Michigan is down right now 13-10 and don't feel like they can save their quarterback run, right? They feel like they need to utilize that, where maybe later on in the game they felt if they were ahead they don't necessarily need to force that or put them at risk. So that's the only thing that I could say, where it's like, yeah, maybe they felt like this was a time where they were behind, they were struggling a little bit to move the ball, they really need to use those legs of JJ to get the lead back. So that would be my theory, but again, it's only the triple threat of Matt Weiss, Sharon Moore, and Jim Harbaugh could tell you the offensive strategy behind that, I think.
Yeah, we're just guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. This is scary, right? And again, this is the thing. These are the plays where if you wanted JJ as the starter, you're like, look at what he can do for you. And if you were a Cade McNamara supporter, you're like, look what he can do for you, right? It's like scary on both sides, where it's like, yeah, it looks like the coverage downfield, right? If you're looking at what he's looking at here, not a whole lot of options, right? Maybe you can thread one in here to Roman Wilson. Maybe you want him to do something, but it's 3rd and 7, right? Everyone looks kind of covered up. There's one other wide receiver deeper here that we don't really get an eye on, but this gets scary quick, right? Where you get it. He's trying to extend the time, get some additional time in the pocket here, trying to figure out who's coming open. Just a scramble drill. And then he puts on the wheels, makes 2 guys miss here. It's a great play. But then right at the end here, it's like, go out of bounds, right? It's one of those, like, know when you win, know when you won the play, know when it's time to say, all right, I did what I need to do here. Thankfully, he does kind of give himself up a little bit here, right? Doesn't get completely laid out, but just not 100% what you want. You want him to be a little bit safer. So looking at the routes, right, Cornelius Johnson does look pretty covered here just on sort of a fade route at the top of your screen. We see Ronnie Bell here and Roman Wilson kind of covered up. So you get the sense that wide receivers probably could have done a little bit better job here in the scramble drill of getting open. Give JJ McCarthy credit for extending it, finding a way to pick up a first down. That's part of the experience, right? He'll have a fumble, he'll have a scary play. We see a couple times where he tries to sort of extend the play like this later on where it doesn't work out. So this is more of just finding that calibration, mixing the good with the bad, and getting him to appropriately analyze risk and when he should be doing plays like this and when he should be maybe playing a little safer. So it's the full experience on this play, man.
Yeah. And this is one of the plays where I'd probably pick on the route tree a little bit. Maryland's only bringing 4. They don't have a defender inside the first down marker, and you don't have a receiver within 10 or 15 yards, except for, Wilson right here. But then he immediately is trying to find a gap too, and he goes upfield.
Right.
So, they did it a little bit later in the game with some crossing routes and some digs and some other things. I think Joel Klatt did a really good job, actually. I mean, he could see the whole field, right, which we can't, unfortunately. He did a good job calling that out during the game. But, yeah, you got to help JJ out and give him a route in the middle there.
Right.
But anyway.
Yep. All right, moving on to the next one here. 1st and 10, second quarter. Here, just a massive hole for Blake Corum. And, I think a big question was he gained 10 pounds. How will that affect his explosiveness? How will that really affect his play? And, he just drags bodies even at the end of this run. So really like this play design. You're pulling both your right guard and right tackle here. Honing for it again, really good job. Clearing down here. You're going to pull both of these guys to the outside. And guess who on the outside is blocking? Ronnie Bell, right? And that's just a luxury to have on the outside blocking when you have that good of a wide receiver who can also just block as well as he can. So good pull here. Right tackle Trent Jones picks up the defensive end. Defensive end wants to continue upfield. So Trent Jones is probably like, sure, keep going upfield. That's going to create a huge crease here, and then just follow your right guard here who's going to pick up this linebacker. Could have done a little bit better on the reach block here, but he doesn't really become a factor. Backside linebacker doesn't really get there. You get just enough of him as well. Maybe a little bit of a hold, but not egregious enough to really get called there. And then, it's just about Blake Corum, right? Good block here from Ronnie Bell. Once you get past the line of scrimmage here, Zinter, again, could have done a little bit better. 65 here on picking up this block, right? Stay engaged. But again, when you have a guy this fast, all it's about is just getting in the way a little bit, right? Hips turn this way. Just hold up this guy enough. This guy can't react off of this block, right? He either has to go across here or go upfield. Just being in the right spot at the right time, and then just having a superstar athlete. And then to take it from that, you get the 5-yard play, you get the 6-yard play, and then you got Ronnie Bell here blocking on the outside. That's what turns it into a 15, 20-yard play. And then with the additional dusting there of Blake Corum, there's an additional 5 yards. And all of a sudden, right, these plays that are probably designed that you're hoping for 7, 8 yards, add in the wide receiver block, you get 13, 14 yards, add in Blake Corum just always making a guy miss, and you're getting a ton of 20-plus huge explosive plays. And that's huge, right? That's just how big of a difference you can make when you have a superstar who can do that, and superstar blocking as well, right? You got to point out all aspects of that and how big of an impact it can all have. But man, that extra weight doesn't seem to have messed with his elusiveness whatsoever. No, so he still has that elusiveness right there.
He's quick, man. He's full speed, 2 strides into the run there.
Right.
And, his vision too, because you can tell when he's patient and when he hits the gas, right? And on this one, he hits the gas early. He's probably thinking about this move 10 yards before.
Yeah.
Right. Because he already knows, I can see how this lane is developing. And he's just such a great combo of speed, agility, that, he's not like the fastest, that whole quick versus fast debate, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
But just great vision, great moves. He's getting those extra few yards differently than Haskins did, but he's getting those extra few yards.
Right. It's also crazy to me, his eyes here. You don't really see his helmet duck over to this guy. It looks like he's still looking here, but he can just feel him. So it's little things like that where if he starts looking over here, maybe this guy starts to slow down.
Does he start cutting before he looks at the guy?
I think he does. I think he like just stops right here. And because of that momentum, right? Because of where Corum is looking kind of down the sideline, to me, if I'm this defender, it's like, oh, he's trying to race me out here. He doesn't know I have the angle on him, and he doesn't really break down at all. But because Blake Corum's, he's probably just looking with his eyes, but he's not like moving his head. Because of that, this guy never really slows down and breaks down, and Corum uses that momentum against him. It's just crazy. Just little things like that with his jump cut behind the line of scrimmage. He's just able to decelerate so quickly and use his eyes so patiently, use his peripheral vision so efficiently here to just stop on a dime, and just that guy doesn't have a chance. And it doesn't look like much, but when you're doing that time and time again, you're picking up that extra 5-6 yards. You're just setting up the offense that much better.
Well, and then defenders too. If you've ever been in that spot, the next time you go to tackle that guy, you're playing a chess match in your head.
Right.
Because now you're thinking about the last time you left your jock on the field, right? So it gets you, like, when you see defenders like just standing there waiting for him to come to him, you're like, oh, why didn't he go get him? Right. That's why. They're scared to.
Exactly.
So, yep.
All right, here we go.
Sorry, a couple guys are commenting about the Barry Sanders comparison. I get the look of it.
Yeah,
it's tough because they don't wear shoulder pads anymore. If they wore big shoulder pads,
that's true.
Maybe. I still think he looks like his coach. I think he looks like Mike Hart in a lot of ways. But
yeah, that's fair.
Barry is a lofty comparison, man.
Yeah, Barry was like a more agile, I think, and I mean, speed is probably somewhat similar. Maybe Barry was a little faster, but
I think the stomping your foot in the ground, the quick cuts, I get what people are talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to say Corum's going to be the greatest running back of all time.
No.
Style comparison, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Here is the Devin Gardner special, all right? This move.
Spot on, dude. Great call.
This move I just don't like because I forget what game Devin Gardner tried to do this in the end zone, but I can picture the play where he tried this exact move and then get sacked.
Right?
It was against Michigan State. I'm 100% sure it was against Michigan State, probably like 2013 or something, somewhere around then. But man, just not good, right? Because it just puts you at such risk. You're making a blind move. Sometimes it'll work, but this is, again, just know when the play is dead, right? Know when. And we don't get to see what's going on downfield, right? We see like a crossing route here for Cornelius Johnson that seems like might have been a good option, right? It's only 2nd and 10 here. So this seems like it probably could have been a decent option for JJ McCarthy. Why he didn't pull the trigger here, it looks like that's what he's reading initially. So why he didn't make that call right away, I guess you do kind of have this guy chilling here in the flat. So, you can kind of see him maybe looking there a little bit. But again, I think like the more focus here is just when things, when he's starting to feel uncomfortable, he's trying to do too much here, right? Duck out a single way. Instead, he's doing this, and now look at where he's at, right? He's trying to set up too much. Right here, if you don't see what you like, what's most likely to happen? Are you really going to be able to find what you need here, right? Or is it better to throw away and live to see another down, right? And
the only thing I can think of is he had a receiver in his mind that he wanted to go to.
Yeah.
And that's why he was, because turning your back to go the wrong direction into the pressure, I mean, that's just easy no-no, right? So the only thing I can think of is he knew right away he was going to try and throw it to somebody, whether it was Cornelius or whatever, like you called out earlier. Like in his mind, he knew he was going to go, downfield there. Because otherwise, go up, throw the ball away, whatever. Like this is just such a poor decision.
Right. And this is kind of the point here,
Yeah.
He didn't really look in rhythm. And yeah, there are some concerns. I don't think he really looked comfortable. And Maddie and friends here, McNamara is still solid. Probably would never do this scramble, 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, gets bell run and fumble, right? Like this is it. When you're down 13-10 like this, you have to have in the back of your mind that, like, listen, 3 points is the default here. 3 points is really what we need here. And doing a play like this, right? Like this is exactly what people who, kind of myself included, where it was like, listen, you're not likely to get some of the heroics that JJ McCarthy offers you but you're not going to have this, right? Like Cade McNamara just won't do this. Like he never really had the ability to escape multiple times like McCarthy did on this play, and he also didn't risk that. So those are things, again, where if you lose that fumble, this game looks incredibly different, right? If Michigan doesn't, luckily jump on top of this, again, great play from your offensive lineman here to jump on that. If he doesn't somehow come up with that ball, this is a very different game. And maybe not in this example, because I think this was where Jake Moody did miss the field goal, but the point still stands in a game later on against better competition. You're not going to be able to make those kind of mistakes, have that dice roll and get away with it. Like it's not going to work out every time.
And that's the positive. Okay. Is if you're going to make this mistake, you want to make it in a game where you still take a W, right?
Oh, 100%.
So I'm not ready to pick on him too much. And I agree with what you're saying 100%. The key is now the next learning from it, right? And not doing the mistake again. So,
and listen, he's the guy, right? He's the guy. So putting this on film, it's correctable, right? Getting him these reps, he knows that he probably shouldn't have done that, right? So it's a case where it's like you can only learn from doing, and you learn both from your mistakes and what you did well. So putting it on film against a pretty decent opponent, still coming in with the W and having a lot of teachable moments to improve. And like you said, his stat line is still pretty good on the day. So if this is a bad JJ McCarthy game, you're going to live with that. There's just a few things here to correct, right? This one I'm not terribly torn up about. Again, and a slight overthrow here. I think this is the same defensive back that Michigan tried earlier, where they just probably like the speed matchup of Roman Wilson here. Again, I like this shot under a minute left, 2nd and 4, so you can afford to take a shot to the end zone here, and just misses a little bit. This isn't a bad miss. And again, usually if you want to miss long. So again, it's just tough. He was like 0 for 5, I think, on deep shots before he hit Ronnie Bell later on in this game. So,
this is a great defensive call. We were talking about tendencies earlier, right? So 2nd and 4, exactly where you want to be on offense. Your whole playbook is open, right?
Right.
So what does Maryland do after they've been dropping 8? They load the box and send pressure. They dare JJ to throw this ball.
Yep.
And he's desperate to hit the deep throw. And they make him go to, cross the hash on the right side, which statistically so far hasn't been his best throw. Roman Wilson obviously is the weapon. He misses the guy. He might have been able to make the throw.
Right.
But now, after he's been standing in the pocket with 4 seconds of time throughout the first half, now you're sending him pressure and giving him a one-on-one matchup he wants, and he just rushes the throw. He's got the time there. So this is where, again, tendencies, vice versa, the defense, using it against him.
Yep.
He probably wanted it back. But, after making him stand there all day, they gave him what he finally wanted. He rushed it. So
right. Absolutely. Okay, this is probably one of the biggest plays of the game. I think it is the biggest play of the game. Michigan rushes to the line here, 4th and 1, 35 seconds left in the second quarter. And, again, just that jump cut, that vision from Blake Corum to recognize that he has that gap to the outside here. Let's shift to the end zone view here. Nothing special, right? Like there's nothing crazy about this play. This just happens to be 4th and 1, Michigan kind of breaking tendency by going no huddle, just rushing to the line. And Michigan doesn't really do anything special for these linebackers. This is the initial move here. Everybody here is thinking, hey, this is 4th and 1. They probably just want to run it up the gut, right? So they just kind of throw themselves at the line of scrimmage here. And this is just Ronnie Bell actually gets off the line of scrimmage late here, but he's going to pick up a key block here. And then Schoonmaker gets a key block here as well. But this is more of the defense just kind of, I don't want to say panicking, but just considering it's a quick, they don't have time to think, right? They're just reacting when it's 4th and 1. And you see a really heavy set like this, everyone's bunched up close. What's your initial reaction? Yeah, they want to run the rock right up the middle. That's Michigan. That's kind of what they do in this scenario. So that's what the defense reacts to. Blake Corum, again, just that suddenness to say like, okay, this is looking kind of, he just looks a little bit, right? He purveys or oh, that's not even a word. He looks at the right side of the line here. He's like, okay, let's look to the left. And then as soon as he sees that, right, just look at his legs. Like, he is going to make a cut. That right knee is already super high. He's doing this jump cut. So I don't know how he sees this in his peripheral, but right here, he's making that decision with that right leg that he's doing a little hop, boom, and then just that explosiveness, right? This is what someone who can squat probably, 600 pounds, that's what that does for you, because he is full speed already. No loss of acceleration.
Look how low to the ground he is
Seriously,
there, dude.
To have that bounce.
He's what, a foot? His butt's like a foot off the ground. Look at
my
that.
hips just exploded watching this. Me trying to think of doing this is just, I am like an old man. Like, I need a hip replacement after watching that. It's ridiculous. And then, Ronnie Bell doesn't, he's late off the line. If you watch Ronnie Bell on the outside, he's a little late reacting to the snap of the ball here, but he gets where he needs to be, right? He just gets there. And you don't have to do a whole lot, right? You see all the linebackers just kind of crowd in the middle because that's where Blake Corum's initially going. But that is what the weight room is all about for Blake Corum, is that explosiveness. Boom. And he's so short, he gets so close to the ground, right? If you're one of these linebackers, if you're any of these guys and you're looking here, how can you possibly see a 5'8" guy who's a foot off the ground at this point going to redirect here, right? With all of this mass of bodies here, there's just no point of view where you even see a crease here. So that's another thing where just the stature of Blake Corum combined with that ability for that quick jump cut is so hard to react to for any defense in this scenario. So again, this is, Joel Klatt called it out, where Corum, kind of carried the team, and having that vision to make that cut. I mean, by the time Maryland's defenders recognize that he's to the outside, he's already 10 yards.
I had no idea where he was.
Yeah.
No idea until he was running by him.
Right.
That's awesome.
Just wild. Huge play. Gutsy call too. Really gutsy call. They get the staff, I think there's a lot of play calling questions throughout the game. They deserve one for that, for going quick to the line, not settling for a field goal, seeing something. I don't know whether that was just a feeling or something that they had seen with tendencies on hurry up fourth down plays like that. But they got him.
That's the element that Matt Weiss brings.
Yeah,
Matt Weiss with the strategic game planning, analytical, etc. In the past, they probably would have been scrambling to make the decision. Where at some point in that drive, they already knew they were going to do that.
Right. Yeah.
Because they'd already talked about the analytics behind it, et cetera.
Sure.
So that's where you see Matt Weiss's fingerprints for sure, in my opinion. So.
Yep.
What do we got on this one?
Yeah, this one is just an internal clock issue. All right. So you're bringing kind of an exotic look. It looked like this defensive end was going to rush off the edge as well. Instead, he's dropping back. You're bringing 1, 2, 3, and then this defensive back here 4. So you're only bringing 4, but it's an exotic look. You are keeping in Blake Corum here. He's going to do a good job recognizing this guy off the edge. Picks him up. And this is just a case of just a weird route combination, right? It's hard to see exactly what's going on, but you're sending a bunch of guys deep, right? Yep. You're sending everybody out. So he's going deep. Cornelius Johnson, Schoonmaker's going up the seam. Looks like you got a little comeback route here, but that's like, 15 yards deep here. And then Roman Wilson down here as well. So it's just a kind of a weird call at 3rd and 8 with a, too high safety look here. So I don't exactly understand what the thought process was behind this on a 3rd and 8 without sending, Blake Corum is in for pass protection. So it's not like you have a safety valve here. This is a case where I think if JJ McCarthy right about here doesn't like what he sees, right? You got to recognize that, hey, I got to go, right? Yeah. And if he starts to run and then something comes up, so be it, right? But that internal clock has to be going. I think it also changes a little bit where when you have a running back in for pass protection picking up a blitzer, that internal clock maybe has to be a little bit quicker, right? Because you don't know how that's going to affect the backfield here, right? And that's what happens. Blake Corum does a good job initially, but right about now is when JJ McCarthy should be like, hey, I don't see anything. It's time to duck out. I don't know what happened with that guy who blitzed off the edge. It's time to go. Good job on him for keeping that ball, right? Not letting go of that. It's just a little bit scary for him to stick around that long. So if we look at the routes, right, there's not a whole lot going on. Can't really fault him for not throwing to Ronnie Bell here. He had safety over the top, so they're bracketing here, so that's not likely to be a throw that can be completed up the seam, right? Relatively decent coverage. You also have another safety up here if we're looking at the bottom of the screen. And then let's see if this other angle will load here. Yeah, so Roman Wilson just kind of sits here kind of near the sideline. So again, maybe you could throw this towards the end zone. If we go back and just look at the eyes here, it seems like maybe you're expecting the seam to come open here for Schoonmaker, because that safety did, the back of that safety did look like he was going to the outside here. So conceivably, if you have number 2 kind of covering this would come open. But as we saw from that other angle, it seemed like JJ McCarthy was expecting that to come open. And then by the time it wasn't, he was in trouble. So again, good job from that safety kind of being there and
it's not always something Michigan did wrong, right? Like you can give credit to Maryland. That disguised look was good. It tricked JJ. Right. But yeah, I'm with you. I just 3rd and 8 on my side of the field. I want a short throw, that worst case scenario.
Right.
I'm not getting hit and possibly fumbling it, right? I want an intermediate near the sticks to give me a chance. Right. But yeah, I know some people get mad on those little drop downs, like, oh, it's 3rd down. Why are you, not going to the sticks? Well, if that's my last case scenario, at least I gave the guy a chance. Right. As opposed to that, like you said, if there's a good chance JJ's taking a hit and fumbling that ball there.
Right.
So
yeah, absolutely. Okay, here. And this is the exact play where it's just like, man, I wish we had a little bit more of this for JJ throughout the game, right? This just looks like easy money. Like, and I'm, not the game planner, so I'm sure there are better football minds to tell me why this wouldn't work all game, right? You do have to mix it up. You can't just run the same play over and over again. We got Joe Honigford in motion here, and this is just rolling him out, and you have just kind of this flood concept with kind of real 3 routes that you're looking at, right? So you have a deep route here, Cornelius Johnson. You have kind of this deeper out here for Ronnie Bell, and then you got a flat option here. So, right, you got 3 different levels here to read with getting JJ McCarthy on the run here. Being that he wasn't necessarily super comfortable with that, that last play, just kind of, maybe not trusting his eyes as much, or just not having that internal clock as calibrated as the coaching staff maybe it would have wanted. Getting him out in this scenario where you're reading half the field, right? Cut the field in half. You don't need to read that much more. Say that. Yep. Just make it easier. If
you're struggling, cut the field in half. Absolutely.
Right. Just make it easier. And you got multiple options here, right? Just you're looking at just a very simple area here. And he makes a good call, right? There's a huge open area here. No Maryland defenders. Get him on the run. He really shines in these sort of rollout areas. He's extremely accurate in these scenarios. Let him use his legs. Let him be more comfortable in these scenarios. And that's just easy, right? That looks so simple compared to what we had seen with just kind of those deep shots in that last play where his eyes maybe were on one guy too long, right? So just doing this where you're simplifying things, using those legs well, you're setting him up to be more successful, to get more comfortable. And I think there could have been just a little bit more of that. So I was really happy that they started doing this and getting him a little more comfortable in this sort of throw. And that's a huge play, right? That goes down to the 41-yard line. That's, 18-yard pickup. So really good job. I was just really happy to see that, that they adjusted and made that play call.
Absolutely. Yeah, if the defense is running bend, don't break, then just take what they give you.
Yeah.
Right? So there wasn't any extra motion there, any of the crazy end around. They moved Honigford just to give JJ some clues in the coverage. And then, yeah, like you said, got him running in the direction he likes and let him make a throw. Oh, this one.
This one's tough. This one's a little tough. And this is, again, this
is the Cornelius deep ball against Hawaii, right? It's the exact same play, isn't it?
Right. And the thing I do kind of like about this is you are kind of cutting the field in half again, though. If you cut it kind of like where you have your 4 main wide receivers, right? You're kind of making it a little easier here. You do have bottom of your screen running a route here as well, but the primary read is sort of half the field. So I do think the staff is doing a good job here, kind of similar to that last play, of just making the reads a little simpler for McCarthy. I do wish we had the all-22. I would have really liked to see what the coverage was on this sort of wheel route, right? This wheel route looks wide open, and seems like that this route here to Andrel Anthony that does get thrown here takes this defender away, and this is coming wide open on that wheel. So it seems like JJ McCarthy got a little locked in on that route, right? I think if he was looking at that defensive back right by that logo up there and recognized that he's following Andrel Anthony, look how much space there is for the wheel, right? He could have kept his eyes there, recognized this guy go, and probably dropped in a nice throw here. All that being said, it's not, the worst throw. This defender was still behind him. He still wins this route. So it's not the worst decision. It's, again, just like maybe not the best decision, and also not able to execute, put the ball where it needs to be on that for Anthony. So I'm frustrated for Anthony because I feel like there were a couple throws here this game. I didn't clip another one where he had his guy, he had him by a step, not like huge separation, but enough to definitely make a, I wouldn't even call that really a contested catch if that's on the money. So you feel for him. Good play design. It's actually Isaiah Gash. That's who's out on. I couldn't tell who that was for a hot second. So yeah, I think you would have liked the eyes there for JJ McCarthy to recognize that wheel really coming open there. And then again, just off a little bit with that arm. So something to watch moving forward if his eyes improve, if he's able to hone in on the deep ball a little bit more. All right, let's speed through these last 5. I think I'm gonna do a separate defensive video.
I was just gonna say that's what we're gonna have to do. Yeah,
we're gonna have to do a separate one, man. I cut down so many plays too, and it's still I just want to break down more plays, man. That's just how it goes. All right, this
first time we've had 4 quarters.
Yeah, seriously.
With a half largely.
Exactly. We got a lot of plays to select from too. So this, this is kind of exactly what you're saying. Where give multiple levels instead of saying all these guys deep. Have a little crossing route, make things a little easier here for JJ McCarthy, short of the sticks here instead of saying everyone deep. So this is really just send these 2 guys. Looks like they're both kind of running deeper post routes, right? I think that's mainly just to clear these defensive backs out. You could argue that this is lucky to not be called a pass interference from AJ Henning here. His objective is just to get in the way here. Now, the main thing, he doesn't extend his arms, right? So I was debating with my brother about this. He has every right to be on a certain path in the same vein that this defensive back can be on his path. If their path happens to coincide, so be it. Main thing is just don't block, right? Just make it. I think he could do a little bit better job of maybe turning back towards the quarterback in this situation, because again, this is all designed just to get these guys out of the play by the route taking this guy out of it, and then just getting in the way of this defensive back. Works perfectly, right? And if it doesn't get called, then fair game to you, right? Like I'm not complaining about it, but I bet if they do like an officiating review or like something to watch for, right, that might get called just right there. Just that extra bit of getting in the way here might get called against AJ Henning there, kind of taking out that defensive back. So clever play design, right? Again, it's not like he really threw out the arms here. He's just kind of running, and if they happen to collide, they do. So I'm interested in your take on this. I think they got benefit of the doubt because the umpire was there. That's also true. Yeah, that's also true. Because he's right. I think that umpire's gut reaction is he made that happen. Whether it's true or not, I think that's how they looked at that. That's a good point. Yeah. They're coming into his area. See what I'm saying? Like the defender. So he thinks, I got in the way. Right. Oh, that's fair. So. Yeah, I hadn't considered that. The other aspect of this I really like is as soon as Schoonmaker's on this path, right, kind of towards the sideline, as soon as he recognizes this defensive back kind of cut off that angle, he redirects really well. And this is just a good case of a tight end knowing when to take the yards that the defensive back is giving him, right? He's not going to outrun this guy. This guy has a bunch of speed on him, but he does a really good job decelerating there, saying, you know what, I'm getting to the sticks, right? And I'm going to carry this guy a couple extra yards. So it's a really good job switching up here, not trying to make the hero play and, go up the sideline, make a big gain. He does a really good job recognizing, yep, this guy is cutting off the sideline here. I'm going to cut up and make a first down. So yeah. I really like that play from Schoonmaker. He had 7 catches on the day, really the go-to target. So just really like that play. It's a good job and well-timed.
Yeah, he's on the McCue Award watch list for a reason too. So
absolutely.
Don't want to talk about the all situation too much. I know, but Scooney's good, man. He looked good.
Yeah, really good. And then this is just Roman Wilson just being too
Waiting
fast.
all day for this, man. This was the one.
He's just too fast, man.
Yep.
Like, I love it. It's just easy. Again, making things just a little bit easier, right? On JJ McCarthy. This is your first read. If they really want to put that safety all the way back there, right, just run underneath it, right? You don't need to do like this is kind of a deep shot without being like too crazy of a deep shot, right? The route combination is just kind of a go route, kind of a deeper post route, a little bit shallower of a cross route, and then a cross route from Schoonmaker. Nothing complicated because this guy's deep, right? And because you have Ronnie Bell going here, he has to drop to respect it. So look at all the inside leverage here. Look at all of this room that you have for Roman Wilson on this route, provided this guy will fall back to get to cover Ronnie Bell kind of on that deeper post route. So again, this is just making things easy. And the eyes for JJ McCarthy are on that safety as soon as he sees him drop, right? He recognizes, I'm going to have a lot of open space here. Really well delivered ball. Good catch from Roman Wilson. And this is just about using the speed of Roman Wilson, right? When you have that inside leverage like that, this is just like, I get Ohio State vibes from this route tree, where it's just like, I probably will see Jackson Smith and Jigba run that like that same exact route and just think like, man, that's just too easy. That's just a guy being fast, recognizing that like, no one really is going to be able to keep up with that guy. And then it's all about just putting the ball where it needs to be, right? It just looks easy. It looks like a like just free touchdown. So I'm really glad they're using his skill set to the full potential there.
We talked about zone beaters earlier. That's a man beater.
Yeah.
And this is what ruined Don Brown. I'm glad you said the Ohio State thing because bread and butter right here.
Yeah. How can you expect really anybody, right? If you go and look at the stats of Roman Wilson, look at his measurables, a 4.3 guy, you can't expect anyone except like a Dax Hill type to really cover that well.
Well, even he knows he's got the help, but like you said, because of the route that he's running and how he cuts it off,
right,
the help can't get there.
Right.
So it's just great play. Yeah. And that's just pure speed winning.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, fourth quarter here, 8:40 left, 3rd and 6. Here, he hits one. He gets it. And it's a big one, man. This is a drive where Michigan goes down and scores, goes up to 2 touchdowns. So, nothing too special on this. A little stunt up front for Maryland. Defensive end is going to loop around here, go to the outside, kind of a similar thing here. Just sending forward decent enough protection here for Michigan. So enough time. Looks like the initial read here for JJ McCarthy, right? He recognizes you have single high safety. If you like this matchup here on the outside, up the sideline for Ronnie Bell, right? That's a lot of space for the safety to cover. So Michigan probably likes that. You get the separation you want out of Ronnie Bell, and he delivers it where it needs to be, right? Not necessarily like super in stride, but I would call that a dead on. That's exactly where that ball needs to be. No issues.
If he had a better day, we might be picking on him more because Bell had to hold up a little bit.
Yeah,
right? But you could tell this was like, I've got so much space there. I've got to hit him. He was because I think of the Wisconsin Dalen Baldwin touchdown.
Yeah,
with that much space, if JJ wasn't frustrated, I bet he throws more of a bullet and Bell's just running in for a touchdown. But he knew, like, I got to just make this throw.
Right.
And I'm going to put it where he can grab it and go from there. But, so, again, I'm just nitpicking him there on a better day. That might have been like, oh, it wasn't a perfect throw, right?
Right. Yep.
But, you put it where the receiver can make a play. It's fine.
Yep. Really like the move here for Ronnie Bell, too. A little swat with that right arm there. So when a defensive back can't get that engagement, you see that reach for 17, that takes all the momentum right there out of 17. He's not able to really match that or hold up Ronnie Bell at all. And that's just that elusiveness of Ronnie Bell coming into play, right? We usually see that in yards after the catch for Ronnie Bell. That goes into route running right there for all the momentum that 17 had, not able to get those hands planted onto Ronnie Bell, not able to take any of the momentum away from Ronnie Bell, and Ronnie Bell's just able to accelerate away from him. So nice for him to actually connect on one of those and, hopefully This will be the last game that we say like finally connect on a deep ball, right? Because I think for other games, JJ McCarthy had been pretty much on the money. So again, if this is what a bad day looks like, looking at the stat line, you'll take it. Here, scary, man, scary. So was complimenting him a little bit. Again, at this point, what's the game situation? 3rd and 8, you're on the 20-yard line, you're up by 5 in the 4th. Getting a field goal here is pretty big, right? It really is. And instead, he's looking at the top of his screen here, which I'm not exactly sure why he doesn't come off of this quicker, right? With double coverage here, you would want his eyes to shift pretty quickly to the bottom of the screen here. But you got a lot of bodies in coverage here for Maryland, only sending 4 on pressure again. So they're definitely in a deep zone here. So I don't know why he's only now, JJ McCarthy's only now looking away from that, right? So now he's looking, and then he just tries to force it a little bit, right? And it's like, oh, that's not where you want to force the ball here, right? You just don't have any space there. This is another one where you do have these 2 linebackers recognizing that the play's kind of falling apart and they're starting to rush here. But you do have Cornelius Johnson kind of running a little stick route out here. So maybe you'd like to see JJ McCarthy try to escape here and throw this, or at least loft it up over here because he's got more room. The only 2 defensive backs really on that side of the field where we're in the end zone there. So again, I think it's just trying to do too much, right? You got to recognize it's 3rd and 8 here. A field goal would really go a long way, and that's just the one throw that you really can't make there. So just not a good decision, right? Sometimes you gotta take your medicine and understand when the defensive play call is better than the offensive one, and recognize that field goal, you don't feel good about it, but in this sort of game, you need those points. Only other thing to note here, good attempt here from Ronnie Bell. He was out of bounds, so it's not a pick, but Ronnie Bell really loads up with his right arm here, tries to knock the ball out. He misses, but a really good try there to knock the ball away. So
I didn't notice that. That's awesome.
But tomahawks there. Yeah, tomahawks his way. So yeah, man, this is just a young quarterback. Again, trying to do a little bit too much. Again, he's still the guy, but you just got to calibrate those moments, right? When you can get away with a win while making these sort of mistakes and they don't cost you the game, that's the sweet spot. That's where you want to have those teachable moments in real game situations and be able to learn from it, and hopefully you can. All right, last play here, and the one that sealed it, right? Michigan did get a field goal on that drive, and here again, I feel like a little bit deja vu, but Blake Corum, 3rd and 4, just breaks to the outside here, and just a massive, massive play. Looking at, I think we have the end zone view again here, a little bit closer to the line here, but again, how does he have that vision to bounce outside, right? It's just a really good decision here to see 25, right? 25 is where this linebacker is coming right in the A gap here. Corum recognizes that and says, okay, it's time to bounce again, right? And his ability to just do that and have that vision to go outside. And again, it's good blocking on the outside from both Honigford and Hayes. Hayes especially does a really good job getting a ton of movement there. So again, this is just taking advantage of that linebacker committing too early and that jump cut again. And just how early Blake Corum recognizes that. Like right here, he sees that gap where 25 is committing, does that little jump right here. And he says, yep, I'm gone and I'm out of there. And the rest is just being too quick for the defense to react, right? Number 3 on the edge here. He has the edge on Honigford. Honigford's doing fine, but he has the edge. It's just that suddenness, right? Just from here to here, that's when number 3 needs to be reacting. His eyes are not in the backfield quick enough, right? He's not seeing this as much because he's probably expecting this to go up the middle. And that suddenness catches number 3 off guard. But when you have a guy, again, of that level of caliber, you're just going to get dusted. So, again, I think Michigan probably saw something. If I'm a betting man, they probably saw something with how
Corum implied that, yeah,
how Maryland reacted to these short, heavy set scenarios where their linebackers commit really early to the gaps, and probably told Corum, hey, be ready to bounce these, right? And he already had one of these, obviously, on that 4th and 1 that got Michigan the lead late in the first half. And that's just coming to play again. So it's just fun, man. It's fun when you have a back who you can look at every single play and he's maximizing yards and he's finding those gaps and he's just so instinctual about it. It's crazy. And I don't think there's a better back in the country that you would rather have than Blake Corum right now. He's a gamer.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, like you said, he knows that 25 is coming into the A-gap. And a lot of running backs, even the ones that can see that coming, are going to start leaning towards that direction early. And he waits till the last second because he wants them to collapse, right?
Yeah.
So he said something along the lines of, once he saw those two linebackers were both inside and not playing, he knew he was going to the house before they even snapped it.
Right.
Because he was going to take it, bait them. Because look, last second, now I'm gone.
Right.
He could start leaning off of JJ, but he doesn't.
Right.
It's so impressive.
It takes such confidence and such comfort, right, to be able to hold off on making that reaction until there's nothing else for 25 to do, right? Because he waited that long, there's nothing up. 25 is fully committed. If he starts leaning right here, maybe 25 can recognize if he starts to bend this a little bit, 25 can have that little hesitancy before he goes all the way in and maybe, make a play down, probably not stop him from getting a first down, but at least
he might bring him back in, right?
Right.
Because if if he gets outside of 3 and 3 is not the edge anymore, if 25 is out there, well, now Corum is maybe trying to squirm back to the middle as opposed to now all green open space. Maybe.
Right. It takes such confidence in your ability. And you're just playing chess, right? He's playing 3 steps ahead. Like you said, he knew as soon as he had him right here, just the hips open up, boom, I'm gone. And it's just such confidence in your ability and knowing that your speed is going to be able to make that work, right? That he can get away with jump cutting an extra yard here. He's giving that extra space to that linebacker and saying, you know what, I'm still fast enough to make this work.
I'd love to have him jump on a pressure mat and know how much force he's putting down when he does those cuts, because like you said, his knee goes up high. Well, that one, not so much. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, everything, boom, right? Like a track star launch. It's crazy, the strength that's in that.
Yep.
Because, he moves 3 yards. And that's the thing is when you're a shorter player and you don't have that kind of stride, you have to, like you said, maximize yards and in those short little spaces, take those wide strides and push with your leg and dig with your front foot and get going.
Yep.
And just he's an incredible runner and he's got the vision and really is a total package. And B-ball fans, right? This is an incredible year for running backs in the Big Ten. Man.
It's really crazy. I mean, you got Mo Ibrahim, who's one of the best backs in college football, 100%. Travion Henderson coming back from injury a little bit. He's been banged up, but he's one of the best. You got guys like Evan Hull, who, he's at Northwestern, but he's putting up huge numbers. Chase Brown out of Illinois.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a ton, and that's just the ones I can think of. I'm sure there's a few more, but those guys alone, I think, are probably top 15 in college football, if not top 10. At least a few of those.
I think I saw a PFF thing up, or maybe I think it was just yardage, like the running backs leading in yardage, and like half of the top 10 were Big Ten backs or something.
Yeah,
but it's something like that. But anyway.
It's just wild. All right, that's all we got. I got a defense. I don't know when I'll get to that. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Thursday. We'll see.
Okay.
But we'll have to dive into that. But any final words here before we break, Trevor?
No, I think that, like I said about the Rutgers game last year, like this is a good thing, right? That Michigan faced some adversity, faced some challenge, was frustrated. And was able to get a lot of things on tape that they can learn from, and there's still a notch in the win column and not in the loss column. So, we want them to go out and we want to see Michigan win every game easily and style points, blah, blah, blah. But you can learn a lot from a game like this. We heard the team say it last year in 2021, even the loss to Michigan State. A lot of the players said they don't know that they beat Penn State or Ohio State if they don't lose that Michigan State game. So if they can learn those kind of lessons, but still get, to 11-0 in Columbus, then it's not a bad thing. So still a lot of positives and things to work on, and that's okay.
Yep, that's okay.
Yeah,
cool.
So, awesome job as always, buddy. So yeah, we'll circle back. We'll keep you guys updated on Twitter. You can find us. We've got our Twitter handles there. Steven Toski. I'm Trevor McCue. Obviously at Michigan Rivals to follow. Mason Blue Review on Twitter. We'll keep you up to date on next time Toski and I, or Toski himself, is going live with this kind of content. Obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, you want to hit subscribe, want to do the notifications so you know when we do go live and when we can post these. We've got podcasts every day. Our film review, we've got intel, recruiting, sports betting, our daily talk show with Dennis. I feel like I'm forgetting something. There's so many. So, so make sure you follow us on those platforms. We'd love to have you at michigan.rivals.com as well. We're pretty proud of the community we've been building. The message board is always an awesome place to talk Michigan sports in a, friendly confine. You're allowed to have debate, but we try to keep things not as harsh as some of the other message boards get. So we'd love for you to come in, subscribe, take a look. But otherwise, Toski, you're the man. Dude, great job as always. Thank you, everybody who's watched and contributed with comments. Again, we really want to do this for you guys, so we enjoy you contributing and throwing in and the feedback you're giving us afterwards as well, helping us improve every week. We really want to make this a show for all of you as well. So with that being said, Toski, if you got anything to add?
Nope. I hope we can get a lot more of these. I'm glad we're in Big Ten country now, so we can have, a full game of analysis. It's fun. It's fun. Sure. We're not just analyzing, beating people up. Now it's, taking some punches and learning how to throw the next one a little faster. So it's fun. It's good stuff.
And it's going to be fun to see what Michigan does different in reaction, right? So obviously, like I said, Toski's going to try and get some defensive analysis up for you guys. Otherwise, we will be back for sure Monday next week to cover the Michigan-Iowa game. So for Toski, I'm Trevor McCue signing off. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you next week.